Hey everybody, I'm Todd and this is Sweet Tea Guitars. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel and welcome to my life. Once again, my friends. I'm hoping you guys have seen the Requiem body video at this point. This is the build that I'm referring to as Requiem. I want to finish my contouring before I even take a piece of sandpaper to this. Once I get done with this contouring, I will go over this whole body with the orbital sander, 80 grit on the orbital. I'll be really careful on the edges. I do not want to change any of the hard, clean lines that I wind up getting on my bevels. I'll sand all flat surfaces with the orbital. Sometimes it's better to do it by hand. You can feel your way through this, in some cases, a lot better than you can with the power tool. So just keep that in mind. Once I get the bevel established, then I'll come back and start working on my angle. So I've got this bevel that goes from thin to wide, back down to thin, and then I'm going to widen it up till it covers about half of this cutaway here. Then I'm going to blend in this upper horn contour that I'm doing all the way to the end to where my line is cut to about halfway in between these two widest points right here on this horn. To make sure that I'm flat and cutting on a flat bevel, all I do is connect that line with the edge and make sure I establish that angle and keep it flat. You want the point of this V and the point of this V to be pointing to the same location. You don't want one pointing off that way and the other one pointing off that way. It will look weird from the front. So keep that in mind when you're doing this kind of work. I want you guys to look at what kind of finish you can actually obtain with an Iwasaki file. These things are so great. I'm going to get me one more Iwasaki file. I want a flat, extra fine. Once I get that, I don't think I'll use another file. The next time I shape a neck, I will be using the Iwasakis. Yeah, I like that. That's pretty much what I'm after. I didn't really set out to build a Super Strat guitar, but that's what this is turning into, somewhat. But I really love these bevels. I love the dimension that this thing's taking on. It's got that whole faux binding kind of deal going on. We got two different colors in the bevel. I love that. I love this walnut top. I really think this is going to be a beautiful guitar. So before we start sanding on the front of this body, let's take a look at it. One of the main reasons why I wanted to do this two-tone bevel on here is to kind of follow the whole color scheme I got going on with the fretboard. We're going to do a big wide bevel on the back and fade it out to a point somewhere before it gets to this cover right here. And you can see what I'm doing. I'm raking it back as I get over here. Then I'm coming back vertical. More horizontal. Vertical. We should be able to move over to the Iwasaki half round. And what we want to do at this point is flatten this bevel out and make sure it's not rounded. All right, let's switch over to our flat Iwasaki. I like the fact that I got the 150 millimeter one because it calms you down a little when you're using the shorter one. The fact that the grain's running a completely different direction and dead ending into the grain that's running this way on the maple, I think that creates a really interesting focal point. That's what building a custom guitar is really all about, is creating a focal point or a series of focal points that draw a person's attention to those little things. The more you look, the more you see, kind of thing. You know what I mean? I really dig that about guitar building. It's art. It's absolutely art. This feels something else inside of me. Now, I can't quite put my finger on it. For now, what I'm trying to do is take a structured approach to learning everything I can about guitar building. And I'm letting myself be guided by my inspiration. From now on, there will be a pad on the table so I don't mark this guitar up. We'll remove all the metal tools from this, and we'll use tools one at a time from then on out. I won't have all these files and stuff spread out all over my bench. I put my neck down inside the pocket. I put one of my yellow stiff rulers across the fretboard with the neck placed in the pocket, and measured the height from the bottom of that ruler to the top of my body. I then measured the thickness of my bridge, including the base plate. Since this is going to be a surface mount Floyd Rose style tremolo, I wanted enough room above the body surface to give me a little bit of pull up on the tremolo as well as dive. I like a floating tremolo. So I want to raise the tremolo up about, not very high, maybe 2 millimeters, no more than 3, from the bottom of the base plate to the surface of the top of the body. Well, from the bottom of the base plate to the bottom of my string slot in those saddles is 11.5 millimeters. From the top of my fretboard to the surface of my body, with my neck yet to have frets installed on it, and I was at about 12.5 millimeters. I want the ability to adjust my tremolo down as well as up without my neck sticking too far above the surface. It makes it uncomfortable when you get up into that upper register where the body contact point is with the neck. I only attach this to the top of my body to have a smooth surface for my router to ride on, so I'm not taking a chance on dipping off down here on this corner. I've taken a piece of the drop off my body, run it across the jointer a couple of times to get it down to the same thickness that my body's at. We're only taking 1.5 millimeters off of this, so I'm not too concerned about multiple passes or anything like that. We're just going to go with it. I'm getting really close and I'm excited about it. So let's get this done. So that's what I meant. I wanted my neck to sit a little bit closer to the surface of the body. So we're just want to pop this across the center of the fretboard. Make sure our neck's seated. And let's take a measurement from the bottom of our ruler to the surface of our body. 10 millimeters. That is exactly where I wanted to be. Frets are not on this neck yet, which means we're actually about 11.2 millimeters above the surface of the body. I've got a piece of tape on my body right here to guard this top. I'm going to keep this as low as I can, and I want to keep this also away from that stud hole. And I've got my sander running really slow. I want to get those scratches out that I put in there. I've made a decision on a little change I want to make. I love the bevel look. I'd much rather have that than a round over. What I've decided to do is cut a little bevel right in this cutaway right here. So I got the fine cut half round Iwasaki. I want to stay off of my comfort contour. All right, so what do you guys think? That's kind of what I meant right there. I want to take it to 220. That will give us pretty much the perfect surface for our first coat of oil. I just want to get rid of those 180 scratches. This also finalizes that hard line right there at our bevel. And you just want to let your sander float. You don't want downward pressure. Let the sander do the work. I'm going to check it in the light. I'm going to run my hand across it. And I want to feel any little inconsistencies, if there are any. Let's take it to 320 on our back. And I've got my sander at a slow speed. I want to drill a hole from here into this cavity. All right, that hole came out in exactly the right spot. So we've got a hole from here to here. We'll go around here real quick. Just give this a quick little once over. Clean up any little burrs. I'm going to call that good on the back. I'm going to use a paper towel, a nice heavy duty paper towel, but a paper towel nonetheless. So we're just going to dip this in here. And I'm going to start rubbing this on. And this thing's going to come to life real quick. I'm going to let it sit here once we get a nice buildup of oil on this guitar. And then we will wipe all the excess off. There's our first coat of Osmo. Let's wipe this back. I'm using an old t-shirt. Look at that. That is so beautiful. I wanted to get the drill press set up to drill in the recesses for our M6 Allen head screws. These are stainless M6 screws, 30 millimeters long. I use these or either a countersunk screw with a billet aluminum washer. I've got them in black and silver. For this particular guitar though, I want a little bit thinner net pocket bottom. So I don't want to have to drill any more of a recess than I have to. These screws allow me to do that. I only have to drill my hole no more than 4 millimeters deep. I've drilled one hole already and I'll show you guys what I did. That's what I'm talking about right there, that recess. I'm below the surface of the body. That looks nice and even and symmetrical. Let's get this next hole set up and ready to drill. That looks pretty good. I've got my depth stop set on this side based on the hole that I've drilled already. So all my holes wind up at the same depth. So that's what we're looking at right there. I've already marked off with the neck in the pocket. I went down through here with a 6 millimeter drill bit, which fits nice and tight in those holes, a brad point bit, and marked out these holes right here. I've got my hole marked right here where I want my volume knob to go, 6.75 millimeters. So let's measure our 7 millimeter drill bit, 6.93. That'll be perfect. I'm going to make sure I keep this pretty much as level as I can get it. And I'm going to let the drill bit do the work. Nice clean hole. So what we want to do now to work out this issue is I want to find out what diameter hole do I need to sink this whole top part down into that cavity. I can drill a recess hole. A 24 or a 25, either one, Forstner bit will work for this. So that's what I was talking about. Just drilling a recess right there. Here's our output jack. Let's see how wide we need to be for our hole. I think a 7/8 will get us where we need to be. And there we go. That always makes me super nervous doing that. What I should have done was drilled my output jack hole and the hole through the front of my body before I got to this point. Shielding my cavities, I like to wait until I've got finish on the body. That way, if you drip any of that shielding paint onto your body, it will not stain your wood. If you've got any little subtle imperfections that you're wanting to get rid of, now is the time. These are carbon steel M6 threaded metal inserts that I use to attach my necks to my bodies. I'm going to use a 9mm drill bit. I want these flush with the neck. They are at 13mm exactly. Got my mark on the end of my drill bit right there, so when it's spinning I can see that. You can get these on Amazon, but you have to absolutely make certain that you are getting the ones that say carbon steel. The other ones are made out of zinc material, and they are not strong enough for this task. This is scary as hell. It is. It's scary as hell. I do not want to mess this up. All right. I've only got 2 in there. You can see my neck is sitting nice and flat in the bottom of my pocket. That is a cool guitar. I can't wait to play this thing. This is making me feel really good. I hope you guys are as happy as I am. I wanted to work a little bit on this neck and get at least get the side dots drilled in. So we're just going to go down through here and mark each one of these, just like so. All right. So what I want to do now is just go down through here, put a little dab of super glue in here. I'm just going to add a drop to the hole. Take our little brass hammer. Medium thick black star bond. And I want to be really careful that I don't get any of this on the maple. We've got our fret markers all the way down. They're filled with black super glue. I think that's going to look really cool. I need to get my tuners drilled in. I'm set up over here on the drill press, and I'll explain to you what I've done. I've got a backer board made out of a piece of MDF. I've got the whole neck with the headstock clamped down to my table. I'm doing this from the back to the front. I'm making notes of those things and keeping track of the things that I should have done differently. One of those things is I should have drilled the tuners in before I got to this point. We'll take care of it on the next go around. We just need to be really careful. Tuner hole's done. So let me get set up with my carving tools and stuff, and we'll start carving in this headstock logo. All right, you guys. So here's what I've done. I just took a little spray adhesive. I cut out my logo and I attached it to the headstock. I've got an assortment of tools laid out here. I've got a 3mm Irwin chisel. I've got various carving tools. I've got my scalpel with a nice sharp blade in it. And then I've got a couple of little detail brushes. And I've got my carving mallet that Press and Go Lightly so graciously made me out of a piece of what I think is Chechen. I am going to take my scalpel blade. I'm going to mark all around the outside and make myself an outline. It's pretty much carved in. All right, you guys, so I just went ahead and finished the carving off camera. And there's what we're looking at. That's my Sweet Tea logo. All right, so I've decided what color I'm going to use. I'm going to use copper, copper pearl powder. I've got my epoxy mixed with my pearl powder. I've had this sitting in front of the heater to get it warm. I'm going to draw it up into this syringe from the bottom of this little cup. So that's in my syringe. I'm sure there are a few bubbles in there. That'll be all right. It's really warm. To prevent some more of that, I'm going to take my heat gun and I'm going to heat up the surface of this cavity right here. And I want it a little proud of the surface. It's amazing how much easier this stuff is to work with when you warm it first. As it stands now, we're pretty much ready. I want to get the neck sanded. We'll get some frets put in, we'll get a coat of oil put on this neck, but I decided we'd stop this video right here. I hope you guys are okay with that. In the interest of shortening my videos down a little bit, I decided that we'd stop this video here. 2 more videos and we'll be done with the Requiem build. We'll move on to the Ryza build, which I'm going to finish a completely different way. In the next video, we'll wrap the neck up for the Requiem build. I'll finalize the radius. We'll final sand the neck. We'll get some finish put on it. I'll install the frets. We'll level and crown those frets. Get the neck ready to mount to this body. In the final video, we will assemble this body, wire up everything, get it ready to roll, and we'll do a sound demo and a test, and I'll show you guys how I set up a guitar. So I hope you guys come back for that. If you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting that subscribe button and that notification bell. It helps me out to know that you guys are digging my content. And please remember, until next time, every minute of your life that you spend under the influence of negative thought is 1 more minute of your life that you could spend happy. Make the choice to make that change. Peace and love.